Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Cunningham. I'm the AVP for Alumni Relations at Lehigh. And today we have a fantastic webinar that I think you'll find extremely relevant during these times. I have with me Karen Kuczynski, who works for Lehigh's Center for Career and Professional Development. She does a lot of work with me and my staff to help alumni with jobs and careers, and also helping those alumni help students. And we also have Emily Golden. She's class of '99, and she is an executive and executive career coach, and is working with the Career Center and with us to provide services to alumni who may need them. So today's webinar is about 30 minutes long, and the way these work is that Emily and Karen will talk for about 5 to 10 minutes, going through some of the resources that are available to you, and then we'll turn it over to you for your questions for the next 20 minutes or so. The way to ask questions, as you can imagine, we've got now 54 people. Instead of phone questions, audio questions, we ask you to look at the bottom of your screen. There's a chat box or a chat icon. Just click on that and a box will pop up. And then you can type your questions into that chat box. I will read the questions aloud to Emily and Karen. And if there's something that we can't answer, we'll get back to you later. But the success of these really does depend on your questions and comments. So I hope you'll be quite active after they've got a chance to let you know what they're up to. So I will turn it over now to Karen to take us through some of the resources that CCPD has put together. Karen?
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am going to run through a few of the resources that we have available to you as you pursue your career endeavors. These resources are housed in Lehigh Connects, which is our community platform to support student and alumni career and professional development. If you haven't had a chance to join the Lehigh Connects community, I would suggest taking some time later today to enhance or start your account. And it takes a few minutes, but I can tell you the benefits of joining are well worth it. And with all the resources that we have enabled in the system, I think you'll find it also worth your time. So I'm gonna stop sharing for a moment to take you actually into Lehigh Connects and give you a view of the resources. So bear with me for one moment as I reshare the screen here. So at the moment, you are seeing Lehigh Connects. This is our home page. And within this network, it's similar to LinkedIn, but offers a few extra resources here. As the first category here on the left is Browse the Network. This allows you to scroll through and view alumni who are in the network on the home page. You can see some different titles here, people who have experience in education. That's compared to my role. So it's telling me you might want to talk to these individuals based on your expertise. But if you go back up here to the top, you'll see that you can search by major, you can search by availability, industries, and there's more filters here as well. To save us time today, I'm not going to go into every one of those, but wanted you to know this is where you can begin your search process. You can also click on an alum's screen there, and this will tell you a little bit more about them, and you can connect, or excuse me, you can click the Let's Connect button, and that allows you then to connect to them and learn a little bit more about their background. If we go back to the home screen, you'll notice that there is a tab for communities. This shows you the various communities here at Lehigh, which you probably are already familiar with, but more particularly, you can find the affinity groups that you may be associated with, as well as professional alliances that you can connect to within your field of expertise. Moving on, there's an opportunities job board. It's quite often throughout a week that we'll receive new opportunities coming in. I also, for anyone out there, please feel free to share opportunities. There's also a way for you as alumni to share these opportunities that you might become aware of, and you can provide them to the community for them to find as well, or your fellow alumni to find as well. Moving on, I wanted to take you to the resources section. So this section is where we provide career-related information to you. Just as a quick view, there's a networking guide here. This is our job and internship guide with a ton of resources about how to begin the process. I've also loaded here, Emily and I have provided some extra resources to you to support current times here. There's a PDF file that will also be shared out with you after the webinar today. But it's a link that you can click on here, as well as there's a resume rubric that I think is really helpful for you to be able to look through and determine, do you have the right components of your resume from a content perspective as well as a layout perspective. And I've also loaded here for you the LinkedIn alumni tool, which is really valuable. Not everyone is aware of all of the time that there's an alumni tool within LinkedIn. So I would recommend checking that out as well for extending your network of alumni professionals. I'm gonna stop sharing because another resource that I wanted to take you into as well is Big Interview. Take notice here that it says use organizational code 0540 to register. When you log on, you're going to need that code in order to access this because it's exclusive for you to use as Lehigh alumni. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment so I can just give you a quick glimpse into into Big Interview. Okay. So once you register, this is your homepage where you click on Learn. And the different tracks here, they have a fast track for learning about interviewing or a mastery track. One of the areas that I like in particular is these interview playbooks. They have different playbooks for someone who's in maybe a career change, or let's say you have a resume or CV gap. They provide suggestions here for you when interviewing. And what you'll see is you click here and they have a variety of sessions for you to go through as far as tutorials for you. The other thing is that if you click here on My Videos, you can do practice sessions as well. And this allows you to record yourself for an interview. So it will give you a rapid fire of questions that you can answer and then play back and listen to yourself. So there's a lot of tools in here that are valuable, as well as if I go back, there's information here that's also a written curriculum. So there's things on resumes, informational interviews, and there's also, if we go back, there's information on negotiation as well. So I don't want to take up all the time because I know Emily has a lot that she would like to share. And but if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask during the Q&A, and I'm happy to elaborate on the resources. But at this point, I'm going to stop sharing and head back to Emily for her to give you a little overview about her resources as a career coach. And we're thrilled to have her. She has helped many alumni, and I'll turn it over to Emily. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Karen. And thanks everyone for joining. I'm Emily Golden. I am a professional certified coach. I work both in the career coaching and executive coaching worlds. Spent 17 years in corporate HR. I began my career in the financial services industry, and I ended my corporate career in the chemical industry. So I've had the pleasure of working with a number of Lehigh grads. I just wanted to give you a highlight or overview of what career coaching is with me. So there's all different types of coaches, and all coaches have their own kind of unique formula. The way that I work with individuals who are either in career transition currently, meaning they're without a job, or they're thinking of making a career pivot, we'll kind of build the program for them. It typically starts around career clarity, and that's really asking the questions, what do you want? What else do you want? This is where we look at vision, exploration, and discovery. I use particular assessments to support us through this process. Many of my clients have really never sat thoughtfully to ask themselves what it is that they want. They've been kind of following a formula, which has worked fine, but they feel like there's something missing. For those that know where they want to go, we dive right into the career roadmap, which is where are you going and what are your next steps to get there. So a lot of times, one of the things that comes up in this part of the process is making a decision and then launching the strategy along with the decision. While it might seem kind of basic and simple, a lot of times people need support just making a decision and declaring, this is where I want to go. This is the direction I want to go, and owning that. So I'll support my clients with different strategies on how to use LinkedIn, how to work on their resume, cover letter, and job applications. Truly though, Lehigh has such robust resources that's not where we're spending the bulk of our time. As a coach, I am supporter. I am there shining the light in different places and keeping my client accountable to what it is they say they want to produce. The next step is looking at career roadblocks. So this is where it's particularly useful to have someone asking powerful questions and revealing blind spots. Most of us do things that actually get in our way that we don't realize are getting in our way. So when we look at the career roadblocks, this is the opportunity for us to have an honest look at what's working and what's not. Then we go into career skill building, and this is where we look at what are the skills you need, what are the skills you have based on where it is you're going. A lot of times I will support my client by partnering with them to build a specific skill set. If it's a skill set that I have background and acumen in. Other times, like presentation skills, for example, I'll work with my client to support him or her to find resources that are going to develop those skills. So networking, interview skills, negotiation skills are all things after 17 years of working in HR that I've got a tremendous amount of experience and exposure with. So that's a fun part. And then the last piece is really more the executive and leadership coaching. And I don't do a tremendous amount of that with Lehigh alum, although a few people I've worked with on the career side have come back to me once they're in their job and they've said, hey, let's engage for executive coaching. And this is, how do I build confidence? How do I build courage in my job? How do I move forward as a leader and ensure that I'm being the best version of myself and continuing to grow? So that's the process in a nutshell, and there's a lot that goes into it.
Great. Thank you so much, Emily and Karen. I did want to point out, I think when a lot of alums were on campus, the resources for them were very one-on-one kind of thing. I think the career office has actually had several career counselors that would help alumni in transitions. But given that we've got 85,000 people around the world, and now there's access to digital tools, as you can see, Karen ran through those very quickly, but I really do urge you to look into those. A lot of those are paid services that we get for a discount or for free as alumni, correct, Karen?
Yes,
yeah.
That is correct. So Big Interview is a free resource to alumni that's exactly what you said, a digital tool to support their career growth.
Right. So, it might be a little bit of kind of figuring out which one of these many tools is right for the alums, but there are so many of them are here. It's just taking the time to sit down and figure that out. And then with resume writing and all the, skill building and the roadblocks, that's where people like Emily come in. So, all right, we have one question so far. Everyone else, please, again, if you go down to the bottom of your screen and you hit chat, it looks like a little cartoon bubble. Just click that and you'll see a box come up and type your questions in there. Alan is a current student looking for a summer internship, interested in marketing or something similar. So Karen, can you talk a little bit about what your office is doing for students and very young alumni who are, maybe their plans have been turned upside down in the last few weeks?
Sure, Ellen, that's a good question, and I can understand your concern. What I would recommend right now is to connect with one of our career coaches, and there's two ways that you can do that. Every day we host a virtual career lab, and if you go to Handshake, there is a link in the events section to the Zoom information for the specific day. So it's 10 to 3, and even if you wanted to connect with one of our coaches, you could do that today, or go into Handshake and schedule an individual appointment. But I do want to let you know that there are lots of resources and strategies that our coaches can work through with you to determine plans for the summer. So you know, some of it is also being creative. This is a different time in internship and job searching, and it's not one strategy that's going to work right now. And that's why we want to help as many students as possible. So I'd recommend those two resources to speak with somebody individually.
Olivia's question, I can actually partly answer this one. Will Lehigh consider extending the length of time that current seniors can use their .lehigh.edu email address, considering the limbo? That is actually a question for LTS, our technology services team. And we've been talking about that for a while, even before all of this, is how we can do that. So Karen, I don't know if you know any more about that, but I think it's really up to the technology services, and I'm a proponent for it in the alumni office, but there's...
Yeah, I agree with you, definitely for LTS, but with regards to our resources, you do have resources available to you as an undergraduate student 2 years out. So that means that you'll still be able to have access to Handshake, and we'll send more information to you as time gets closer and how you'll be able to continue to access those resources. But there's ways around. I understand your concern about the email, but there's ways around so that you'll still be able to access our services.
Yeah, I think a lot of students, they put that email address on their resumes, and then they get a call in November when the email's expired. So I hear you, Olivia, and that is on our list. David's asking, you showed job opportunities that listed 28. Is that a filtered list? Also, can you filter the Lehigh Connect participants by graduation year?
So to answer the job opportunities question, I'm sorry, could you repeat that, Jennifer?
So when you showed the list on Lehigh Connects, there were 28 job opportunities. Was that filtered, or is that the total number of opportunities?
I believe right now that's a total number. So again, as I mentioned earlier about job search strategies, you want to use multiple strategies. So you don't want to just rely on that. And Emily and I created a document that I mentioned earlier, and that will be shared with you, that lists some other resources that you can take advantage of as well. And the second question was on the Connects, correct?
Yeah, can you filter Lehigh Connects participants by graduation year?
Yes, you should be able. There's varying features in there that you can search by major, academic year, degree. So if you go through those filters, you'll be able to find alumni in various ways.
Yep. Also, we're doing a lot of push to alumni to go post their jobs there when they have them. So hopefully that number will increase. Christine asked, do you have any specific recommendations for alumni looking to relocate to a different city? Emily, maybe that one's for you.
So is the question specifically, how do I find out about those opportunities?
No, just do you have recommendations for looking for another?
So
relocate?
I would absolutely take advantage of the list that Karen and I curated with different places to look for jobs. And I would use Lehigh Connect and LinkedIn to connect with alum in those locations.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing more powerful, in my opinion, than to reach out to someone who's an alum of Lehigh and say, you know, we both graduated from the school, and, you know, is there, you know, anything you can do? People are happy to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So just be assertive.
Right. And even just getting opinions on what life in those cities is actually like.
Right. You can ask about their career journey, and you can also ask about just the city in general.
Yeah. Brian asked, given today's extraordinary circumstances, how should a 2020 graduate calibrate one's expectations for the current job market? Is it a longer road? Are companies hiring at a reduced pace? Can you describe the market now through the summer? And I guess that's not even just for 2020 graduates, that's for all positions.
Yep. I can take this briefly, and then maybe Karen, if you have anything to add. So we have never been here before. We do not know. There is no roadmap. There is no rule book. There are companies that are still hiring, absolutely. And there are certain companies that have such high demand that they're hiring in high numbers. So keep your eye out for the industries that are expanding right now. Companies are turning to making different products than they've ever made before, and they need to scale up really quickly. Telecommunications, gaming, video conferencing, online learning. There's a number of different places. I would brace or hold yourself, know that this is likely going to be a marathon and not a sprint. I'm seeing companies retooling the people that they have internally so that they don't have to lay people off, but that they can leverage and train the people that are currently employed there. Absolutely, there are hiring freezes, and make sure not to be telling yourself it's impossible to find a job now. When you are talking to yourself that way, you're gonna create that. So brace yourself. This is a marathon and not a sprint. This is where taking care of yourself continuously, just being in action and not getting discouraged is so important.
If it's okay, I'll just add on 2 thoughts. I agree with everything Emily said. It's so spot on. And we're hearing from on the employer side, it is going to take time, and everyone is adjusting. And with that, I would absolutely encourage you to continue networking, build rapport, develop relationships, talk to people who are in the field. It will go a long way. And then the second thing is, as Emily mentioned, the companies that are hiring, in the information I post, that's posted in Lehigh Connects, and that's going to be shared with you, the COVID-19 resources. There are links to resources that are either crowdsourced or developed on companies who are hiring. And there's another website that we really love called The Muse. They often will send newsletters with companies that are hiring. So stay connected too. Watch the resources, follow in LinkedIn. Lots of things are coming out on LinkedIn too. So stay alert as well.
Yeah, I think with that networking thing too, the rule is always, and I think still is true now, that if there's anything you can offer in terms of networking, now is a great time, because people will remember that when you need a job or you need advice. If you can give a job or give advice now or offer an internship, it will go a really long way, and people do remember that. Nahara's question is, do the opportunities listed on Lehigh Connects differ from handshake listings?
Yes, they do. So the ones that are on Lehigh Connects are for alumni who are 2 years out or more, so more experienced professionals. And the opportunities on Handshake are more just first opportunities, maybe a year or 2 of experience. So that would be the difference between the 2.
Okay. The classes of 2019 and 2018 still have access to Handshake, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, let's see. Another question about filtering on Lehigh Connects. You can filter by job title too, correct?
Yes, even there's just the search page. So you can do a general search and you can put in the job title. And quite honestly, you can search by company name. Let's say you remember an alum and from past years and you think, oh, are they on Lehigh Connects? You can search by their name. Lots of different ways that you can filter the information.
Yeah, and also going on with the alliances, professional alliances are actually run by the Alumni Relations Office, and it's groups of alums who work in the same or similar industries. So Lehigh Lawyers, for example, normally we do about 8 events every year around the country. There are a couple thousand alums that are a member of that in all kinds of law. And also the Wall Street Council, I think, has about 3,000 or 4,000 members, and they're extremely willing to help out any students or alums who have questions around that. So, all right. Amy asks, where do we find the curated list you referenced in an answer to the question about location-specific networking resources?
That list is in the Lehigh Connects under the Resources tab. And when you click there, it would say COVID-19 resources, and it's a PDF document.
Okay, great. All right, I don't see any more specific questions from the group here. I did want to pick up on something you said about the interview practicing, because I think obviously a lot of us have taken training to do an in-person interview. Can you explain a little bit how video interviewing might be different than in-person interviewing?
I'll take this, or is that okay?
I'll fill in.
Okay, perfect. Video interviewing is definitely, well, there's 2 ways. It's either that it's going to be synchronous or asynchronous. An asynchronous model would be that an employer sends you a link to interview questions. This you need to prepare, and there's actually information that's developed in Big Interview to assist you with that it's a whole different approach, and that similar, I'm trying to look at the screen and engage you. You need to be communicating and still selling your experience and be energetic through that process. So take advantage of Big Interview, because there's that space in there that you can practice and get accustomed to talking to the computer without anyone there. And then there's also those pieces of when you're going to be in maybe a Skype interview or a Zoom interview. It's very similar. You need to do your research, get prepared, set up and have questions planned. So both, there's some differences in the 2 of just the style of virtual interview, and always to be prepared for both of them and do your research ahead of time.
I'll just add a few things. One is be sensitive to your background. So you don't have to have a fancy background like I have, but make sure that it's not like a messy room behind you. Do be dressed to impress for the interview, even though it's online. Show up at your best. The more you can practice in Zoom, on Skype, on Teams, whatever it is that you use for videos, the more you can practice, whether it's with family, friends, and getting comfortable on video, the better you'll show up during the video interview.
Yeah, and I think this is another thing that alumni would be fabulous to help you with. If you reach out to them on Lehigh Connects and just say, could I practice interviewing with a real live person in your industry? They would love to help you with that. We are nearing our time. There are a couple more questions, and they both look like they're from students. So Olivia and Amy, I would urge you to reach out to Karen. She can help you. The question about resources for seniors who do not yet have summer plans, there are some things being added for students in terms of getting virtual internships and virtual opportunities. So Karen can talk the students through that. And Amy's question is about reviewing CVs and resumes, which I think your office also can help with for current students, correct?
Right. It would. You can log into our virtual career lab, and one of the coaches can review your resume through the lab there.
Great. And David's question will end with that because I love it. How can alumni volunteer to help out, mentor, and be a resource to others? The advice there is to join Lehigh Connects first and just poke around. We'll definitely send out the link to that. And if you have any problems logging in or can't find what you're looking for, you can contact my office or Karen's office, and we will definitely take you through that. So, All right. Well, thank you both very much. This is so important that our network of 85,000 alumni come together, and we are just trying to provide the tools to allow you all to connect and try to find jobs, get jobs, and offer jobs right now, especially. So, you know, Lehigh Network, do your thing. Thank you all. And we will have a recording of this in case you had to miss any part of it or you want to send it to your friends or colleagues. We'll have a recording that we'll send out shortly. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.